My friend Keith has an uncle with dementia. Long story short, his uncle usually lives with Keith's grandma, but she was away in Florida with a church group for the week. Keith himself was going on a business trip, so he hired me to house sit, which included taking care of his uncle. Keith would only be gone for 2 days. On the first day, I mostly hung out in the backyard, reading and tanning, or watched TV in the living room. I cooked twice, and each time I made extra food for Uncle Mick. But I never saw him leave his room upstairs. I went up and lightly knocked on his door to tell him I made food. From inside, I heard a strange grunting noise. I guessed that was his way of acknowledging me. Oddly enough, I had never actually met Uncle Mick. When Keith hired me, we weren't introduced. Keith told me his uncle knew I'd be there, and that should have been enough. Uncle Mick never came out of his room to eat when I was in the living room. Later that night, I went up to the spare room to sleep. I left the door slightly open so I could listen for anything unusual. Sometime during the night, I heard a door down the hall open, followed by quick, heavy footsteps rushing down the hall and down the stairs. Seconds later, the footsteps rushed back up and the door slammed shut. It was honestly unnerving. The intensity of those footsteps made it feel like he was avoiding me, or something worse. The next day was much the same. I made meals, left plates for him on the counter, but he still never appeared. While I was lying outside in the backyard tanning again, I looked up at the bedroom window and there he was, staring at me through the glass. The moment he realized I saw him, he ducked down out of sight. I felt so uncomfortable that I folded up my blanket and went back inside, trying to shake the feeling of being watched. Just one more night, I told myself, and then I could leave. That evening, I made dinner and left another plate for him. As I walked up to the spare bedroom, I noticed for the first time that Uncle Mick's bedroom door was open. Maybe he was finally getting less shy, I thought. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth and then settled in my room for the night. But I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, listening to the fan next to my bed. Over the hum of the fan, I heard a faint creaking sound coming from somewhere in the room. I sat up and looked around. The dark made it hard to see, but what struck me most was that Uncle Mick wasn't in his room, or at least, I couldn't see him anywhere. My mind started playing tricks on me, or so I thought. I lay back down, trying to ignore every little sound. But when I heard a very faint groan, I sat up again and turned off the fan to listen more carefully. That's when I heard breathing coming from the far end of the room. I turned my head slowly toward the desk. And there he was, Uncle Mick, sitting on the chair, turned directly toward me. I screamed in terror as he rushed over to me, shushing me with a finger to his lips before covering my mouth with his hand. In that moment, I thought he was trying to suffocate me. I shoved him as hard as I could and sprinted to the nearest bathroom, slamming the door behind me and locking it. From inside, I heard his footsteps running back to his room and the door slamming shut again. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I called Keith immediately, explaining what happened. What scared me most was that Keith didn't even sound shocked. Instead, he told me to stay locked in the bathroom for the rest of the night. That's when it hit me, Uncle Mick wasn't just suffering from dementia, he might actually be dangerous. I barely slept 3 hours on the cold bathroom floor. In the morning, I packed my backpack as quickly as I could and waited outside in the backyard until Keith returned. When he finally arrived, he paid me extra for everything I'd endured. I told him he needed to get his uncle some serious help because I'm certain there's something much worse going on than just dementia. And I still don't know what Uncle Mick intended to do that night.